Hey guys, it's John with DMNDR. I'm here with Rob Scribner. He is the DP who shot the demo reel for the Fs5, the new camera from Sony that might be potentially the best indie filmmaker tool on the market at the moment. So we're going to sit and talk with Rob today and figure out why you should or shouldn't add this machine to your quiver. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what we have here?
Okay, so obviously we have the Fs5 here. So the biggest question I'm getting today is what's different between the Fs7 and the Fs5? And there's quite a bit of things. Just first thing is obviously is the form factor of how tiny it is compared to the Fs7. Once you have an Fs7, you add all the stuff onto it, it gets pretty bulky pretty fast.
This camera weighs what, 2 pounds or something?
I think it's closer to 3 or 4 when it's decked out like this, but it's so ridiculously light. And it's so basically they designed this thing for the fast run and gun kind of documentary filmmaker, a lot of wedding type of filmmakers, independent, just something, it basically does everything in one, which is really awesome. So you make your investment now, it's going to last a really, really long time and really hopefully launch your career a little bit more. So this going back to one of the biggest questions is the compression. Is basically what is the difference between the Fs7 versus Fs5 in compression. This is shooting in XAVC-L. That's why we can actually shoot so long in 4K on SD cards, versus the Fs7 actually shooting XAVC-I on the S/S XQD cards. Fills them up really fast. So that's the reason why we can actually get 4K inside here right now.
So let's talk about it. I mean, that is a really light wrapper for 4K media. What is the quality of this codec? Is this something that you necessarily want to SDI out and capture in a different codec?
Honestly, so when I shot my film Zion for Sony, I had to shoot it all internal 4K XAVC-L, put it in Premiere, and it actually holds up pretty well, surprisingly. I didn't really notice the big problem with it. So like the independent filmmaker, just using it as it is, you're gonna love this. It's really, really awesome for that. If you want to up your quality, Sony has mentioned to us, and now this is not coming directly from them, this is from me as a filmmaker, we have heard that they're going to be doing a firmware update that's going to allow the SDI port to export 4K RAW. So if you're not happy with the XAVC-L, in the future, you're actually going to have the capability to actually, hook up like an Atmos or probably an Odyssey 7Q and get a very, very high quality.
That's very interesting. I would probably be the first person to jump on that if I bought this camera. So another thing that I think is pretty peculiar about this camera is how this ND filter works. There's an analog, and then this is now an electronic variable ND filter?
Yes. So basically what they're doing is, this is really, really neat when I found out about this. So basically you have the very typical ND filter, which is going to be, preset 1 is going to be 1/4, then you go up to 1/16th and 1/64th, the typical ones. But let's say you needed it just a little bit darker and you're getting really tired of run and gun. You have to compromise a little bit of your exposure or your shutter or your ISO, because even flipping it to the 1/4 ISO, going from inside to outside, it's just not enough. It's still just a little overexposed. Then obviously you have to compromise. Well, now they built in this variable ND filter, so all you have to do is flick a switch over to variable and make sure that's in ND, and this little roller right here will actually allow you to actually dial in exactly where you need your ND filter and set them as presets. So the way that this ND filter is working is once you actually put it in clear mode, basically there's a little sheet of glass in there that's always there in clear mode, and they have to do this for a specific reason. But once you switch it on, basically a little sheet of glass is dropping down here. When you're in variable mode, what it's doing is they're basically just upping the voltage on it, and it's basically allowing to use more of a digital type of ND filter. It's basically just making it darker. So, and if once you remove it, then it goes right back up. Very, very simple mechanism.
So, okay, so I guess this is my number one question about it. We're like circling around this. My number one question about it is, when you move through the digital ND filter on this, is it smooth so that you could actually do it in camera without kind of tipping your hat to the viewer?
Let's see if we can actually pull this off here. See, ND there, turn this on. Let me go back up to the top here. So you can basically see it right there. Just watch the screen, basically. I can just roll through it, and it's not like there's no clicking, no nothing. You can actually do an ND pull with it, which is really cool. It's just so smooth.
That's silk.
Right, it really is.
That looks wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a real problem solver. Is anybody else doing this? I don't think I've ever seen this before.
I think Sony's the only one that I know of right now. That's just me personally. So
this is great. So I guess what's left? What are the major differences between this machine, which the way we're seeing it right now is 5,500?
Yeah, basically just the body alone is around 5,500 or so. I'm not sure exactly what the kit lens, how much it adds to it. So I'd say probably $6-7 grand, somewhere around there.
But let's stay on the body. So a body-to-body comparison, you know, talking about $5,500 for the brain, and then how does that compare to the FS7? The FS7 is now 8.
So yeah, just the body alone on the FS7 is about 8 grand. If you were to get the kit lens with it, basically you're adding another 2 grand or so. So you're looking at 10 grand. But let's also think about if you use an external recorder with RAW, then you have to have the extension unit. Then you have to have V-mount batteries. Then you actually have to have the external recorder like a 7Q Plus. And so you're basically looking at another $7,000 that you need to invest in the FS7 in order to get it completely decked out to shoot RAW. This one is designed to be usable right out of the box, and then with the potential, hopefully, firmware update that it'll actually export RAW through the SDI port here. So really you're only looking at having to make one investment for an external recorder like an Atmos or a 7Q Plus. So that's a huge, huge saver.
No, this is a super compelling product at this price point for sure. Now, I guess the other question I would have is the battery life.
Right.
So with this small form factor, I would think that this might actually be a usable battery.
So when I shot my film Zion, I used 2 batteries at the time, and I shot for roughly 6.5, 7 hours, and I only had to swap the battery once. It's using such low voltage throughout the whole thing. It's, you know, it really makes it really usable. These are good batteries.
Really great. I'm excited. I think I want to get one of these.
I got mine on order already, so.
When are they going to be in stores?
November, so a couple weeks, which is really great.
Do you have yours already, or do you have to wait?
No, because I had a production model, so I had to send it back. So, you know, I want to make sure the one I'm getting is actually like legit good to go. So.
Cool. Well, listen, thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys talking to us about this camera, and we'll talk to you soon.